This episode is sponsored by Jacobson Real Estate Company. Are you ready to find your dream home? Or maybe you're thinking about selling and want the best deal possible? Well, look no further. At Jacobson Real Estate Company, we make buying or selling your home smooth, stress-free, and exciting. With 50 plus years of experience and a deep knowledge of the Winona, Minnesota area market, we specialize in turning your real estate goals into reality. Whether it's finding that perfect neighborhood, negotiating top dollar for your property, or answering all of your questions along the way, we're here for you. Plus, with our personalized approach, you're not just a client, you're family. So why wait? Let Jacobson Real Estate Company open the door to your future. Call us today at 507-313-2716 or visit our website at jacobsonrealestatecompany.com. Because your next chapter starts here. Buy, sell, invest. Jacobson Real Estate Company. Welcome to this week's edition of Brews Cruise. I am your host, Chris Jacobson, and I am here with a gentleman who is one of the top axe throwers in the world, Shawn Harm. Shawn Harm, thank you for coming into the Speakeasy Studios tonight and joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I don't know much about axe throwing, but we're going to get into that. But you've requested Busch lattes, I want to call them, Busch Lights, which is actually starting to become a staple on this show. So is there a reason why you like Busch Lights? Midwest
Just like
boy.
them.
You're a Midwest guy, aren't you?
Grew up here. That's what we've been drinking basically forever. So
I've learned, if you're watching me struggle at opening this, I've opened them the other way before, and they roll out. So I've learned. Let's get these bad boys cracked.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I got you a koozie if you need one. I'm going to set these down by our feet so I don't want them to, shy away from our beautiful faces. That's the sound I like to hear. That sounds like summer if you ask me, actually. So, Shawn, you have actually been requested to be here due to someone that you work with. And he reached out to me and said, this guy would be awesome to have, but there's more to you than just axe throwing. And you've given me a couple of things, and you told me that you're in the military, which your hat also shows that you're an Iraqi war veteran. So what years were you in the military?
I enlisted, 2004.
Okay.
Actually, 2003. October of 2003 is when I enlisted, and I was 17 years old. And was overseas in 2009. I went to Iraq. I was part of the National Guard out of Wisconsin.
Okay. What part of Wisconsin?
Arcadia is where my unit was.
Okay.
I grew up right across the river. So.
Oh, sure. Whereabout did you grow up?
Between Fountain City and Arcadia, right up on the hill.
I got a buddy that lives up there, too. I don't know. Do you still live over there?
Yes.
Do you know Zach Lazel?
I know the Lazel name, yes.
You know the Lazel name? Okay, he's one of my buddies out there. Well, speaking of which, first, let's cheers to...
Cheers.
So I've had multiple people on here that have been that are veterans. My wife's one of them. She was in the National Guard as well. She was a cook in the military.
Okay.
And then I also have my brother-in-law who served, but he was on, what was it, episode number 4. He went and did some other things in totally different countries as well. So I don't think he was in the Iraq portion of that. But then I also have another good buddy. He wasn't on there, but he was also over in Iraq for, I want to say 2 or 3 deployments. So you may even know him. I'm not even sure. But so what got you wanting to go into the military at 17 years old? I mean, you're still in high school at that age, right?
I graduated. I was one of the youngest in my class. So
Okay.
I graduated at 17, but I was still in high school when I joined. Had a bunch of friends, and growing up, we didn't have a lot of money to, for my opportunity to go to college or anything like that. So I'm like, well, if I want to do something with my life, this is probably just as good a shot as anything else. So
Sure.
I joined, and then a few years later, my sister ended up joining, and we were actually both deployed at the same time overseas in Iraq.
At the same place?
Not in the same place.
Nope. Okay.
I was infantry. She was military intelligence, so she was actually in Baghdad. I was in the northeastern part of Iraq, up closer to the Iranian border. So our jobs were a little bit different. She was in a much safer place than I was, which was totally fine with me. And so that was 2009 into 2010.
Well, that brings me up to another question. So you have a sister that's in it with you. Do you feel like you're trying to protect her at all? Because obviously you're in the military, hard to, but did you feel some sense of maybe like, I want her to be protected at all costs if possible? Because, obviously you want your other brothers and sisters around you.
We were deployed so far apart. We were hundreds of miles away. She was way in the southern part of Iraq. I was in the way northeastern part. So where she was in the middle of a great big FOB, which is a forward operating base.
Okay.
So she never went outside the wire or anything like that. So the chances of things happening to her were a lot less.
Sure.
But obviously we talked when we could, but we both had our jobs to do. So, I didn't have a lot of time to worry about the things going on back home and stuff like that. Whereas family members and people back here, they're worrying all the time, constantly. We didn't, at least for me personally, you don't have time to think about, what's going on. You got to worry about your mission that day and what's going on right now. So.
Yeah. And you said that she was in a much safer place. Is that what you
Correct.
said? What, I guess, what does that mean? How do you know she's in a safer place?
So when you're deployed overseas, you have a FOB, which is a forward operating base. Where they were down in the green zone, down in Baghdad, and there was a lot. The compound is just much, much larger. It's huge. Okay. And so she had the other units and stuff, other MOSs, that's your job in the military, your mission of service. They have multiple other people that are doing security defense on the bases, patrols around the area, stuff like that. So she never had to go outside the wire where the bad guys are. The most that they got were some like incoming mortar fire and stuff like that, which there's defense measures on the forward operating bases to, let you know at least ahead of time so you can take cover, stuff like that, or they just take out the stuff before it's really even an issue. So
did you have a specific job that you were in charge of doing then?
So when I was overseas, I was in the infantry out of Arcadia, so Charlie Company, one of the 128th. We were deployed with the whole 32nd ICBT out of Wisconsin. And our job was, we were in Ashraf, which is in the northeastern part of Iraq, closer to the Iranian border. And this city was a city that was ran by the PMOI, which was the People's Mujahideen of Iran. There was probably about 4,000 of these people. Most of them were Iranian, but there were also some European and some American people in there too. There was a handful of white people in there, and they were for the most part they were very well educated, but they were on our United States terrorist watch list. So our job was to observe and report all the activity and stuff that was going on there, and then we also did we had our base defense. We were on a really small FOB. We had base defense, obviously, stuff like that, but then we also did patrols and convoy security, stuff like that. So for the most part, it was a lot of boring times staring at the desert, playing euchre, just
sometimes you might want that.
Which, that was fine. And then, right around end of July of 2009, some stuff happened. The Iraqi army came in, and they basically wanted to know what the heck was going on inside there, because obviously, Desert Storm, Saddam was overthrown. Mm-hmm. In the 80s, late 70s, the PMOI had Saddam's biggest tanker battalion. And then after Desert Storm, they basically gave all their stuff up and said, hey, we surrender, we just want to be protected. So we were protecting them, but they were on our terrorist watch list, so not really sure how that works. That's a United Nations thing. We were working hand in hand with the United Nations. The 5-star or the 4-star general that was in charge of the whole theater over there was at our base at one point in time. The president was talking with United Nations. We had United Nations reps there. There was a lot of stuff that was way above my head, and just do what you're told to do, kind of thing. It was a job, and that's I don't know. That's how I looked at it. A lot of people thank me and stuff. I'm like, I appreciate it, but Yeah, I'm not any different than anybody else. I had a job and I was doing my job. But then that end of July, when that stuff happened, they came in there. I was out on post, and they had probably, I don't know, 300 to 500 people, Iraqi army and Iraqi police, and they hit the front gate and then what we call the north gate, 12 Fox, and they came in, and these PMOI, they didn't have any weapons that we knew of, but we didn't know. I mean, we didn't, go check their stuff out. We just sat back and watched what happened, and we're not going to get into that. There's a lot of stuff, and I don't know what I can and can't say exactly.
Well, you just say whatever you're comfortable with.
But I mean, if you were to look online, there's stuff out there that that was pretty messed up.
Sure.
If anybody's ever played Grand Theft Auto, use your imagination on what you can do with a vehicle. And
see, now everyone can relate to that.
That's the stuff that happened there.
Okay.
So some messed up things happened, and then basically we had to do, medevacs, medical transport, stuff like that. It was just a really interesting week or so. Luckily, they weren't any of our people that ended up getting injured and killed, so that was a good thing. But it's still a messed up thing when you see stuff like that. But
well, so now when were you first deployed? How old were you?
let's see, that was 2009, so I was 22. I turned 23 over there.
Okay, so you were actually in the military for about 5 years prior to that?
Yeah, so originally when I first got in, our unit was deployed, but I actually had bursitis in my knee, and I was non-deployable, so I stayed back. I finished basic, and I was supposed to get deployed right away. Then I had an injury that made me non-deployable for that first deployment. They came back, and then there's a cycle in the National Guard. There's a training cycle, a build-up cycle.
Okay.
And then, so when we were up due again, then that's when the whole Wisconsin National Guard got deployed then.
So when you got deployed, what were the thoughts going through your head? Were you nervous, excited? I mean, some people say, well, if I don't get deployed, it's kind of like I did all this work for nothing, but I'm also thinking to myself, well, if I don't get deployed, I'm a little safer possibly. What was going through your head at 22 years old?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys, obviously, you train with these guys day in and day out.
Yep.
It's more than just buddies or friends. It's family at that point in time. I mean, yeah, I guess there was nervousness, a sense of not knowing what to really expect, but at the same time, being able to go over and see stuff that I never would have been able to see. Now, some of that good, some of that bad.
Right, okay.
But, never... The way I grew up, I didn't have an opportunity to go travel the country, this, that, whatever. So, it was an opportunity for me to advance myself and see what... Well, and then obviously, then 9/11 happened. That's something that we remember when we were younger and stuff. And it was like, I want to do something. I want to do something because at some point in time, my life is going to end, and I don't want to sit around or, when I'm laying there and be like, I didn't do anything. I want to... And I don't care if everybody else remembers who I am, but there's people in my life that matter. And I have a 12-year-old son. I have a daughter on the way. There's people in my life that I want them to look up to me and be like, hey, there's a right way and a wrong way to do stuff. You don't have to be a millionaire or anything like that, but just be a respectable human being and do the stuff that, I don't know, it's just a way of looking at it. I mean, especially with the way our kind of country is right now, there's a lot of issues, we'll say, and I just think if people just cared a little bit more and stopped worrying about all the stupid stuff, things would be so much better for everybody.
I think it's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I think he had a quote. Who knows? Someone else could have came up with the quote beforehand. It said, "It costs $0 to be kind to someone." And I always realize that. I always think about that before you say something. It takes $0 just to be nice to somebody. It doesn't take much. Be a respectable human being, like you said. So now I want to go off of another thing that you just said. You got to see some things, some good, some bad. I don't want to talk about the bad. What were some good things that you saw or that came from you being able to travel?
Well, I mean, just first off, being able to get out of, here. I grew up here. At that point in time, I'd been to Wisconsin and Minnesota. That was it.
Okay.
When I mean Minnesota, I mean like Winona area, maybe Rochester. That was it.
So for those who are listening, if you're not from the Winona, Wisconsin area, we literally are on the Mississippi River. There's a bridge that crosses over. Shawn grew up maybe 20 minutes away from where this is being recorded right now. So, yes, we live right on the border of each other. Right now we're in Minnesota. You lived in Wisconsin. It's literally a 1 mile bridge.
Correct.
Okay. So what were some awesome things that you saw? Or
Well, just military-wise in general. I mean, I went to basic in Fort Benning, Georgia. Never been down there.
You were down there?
Parts of that was awesome. Parts of it sucked because fire ants are horrible.
Okay.
The heat and the humidity is not fun. Now
No.
we have all the stuff here. It just depends. Well, today it's beautiful out today, and tomorrow, well, tonight and into tomorrow, we're expected anywhere from like 4 to 9 inches of snow. And today it's t-shirt weather outside. So
It's 60 right now. Tomorrow's supposed to be a blizzard.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Seeing Atlanta, go down there in the military. Been able to go down to Florida. Camp Blanding, Florida was nice. Well, our idea was it was supposed to be nicer than what it was because we went in January for a 3-week training, but it ended up to be the coldest it's been there in 30 years.
Of course.
It was actually colder when we were in Florida than what the temperature was here.
You said that like last week. I had a buddy who was in Destin. It was 67 degrees here. It was 63 degrees down there. I'm like, your spring break trip is colder down there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more.
Oh, yeah, we'll have more.
Okay, good. Okay, so you
other
saw...
than that, I got to go to, well, before we got deployed, we ended up going to Fort Bliss, Texas, and then Camp McGregor, which was in New Mexico, I believe, right across the border there. Basically, kind of all the same thing. So, got to see that kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like a desert-ish type atmosphere.
Sure.
Different. I know partying and drinking down there is way different than up here.
What's different?
Well,
What's different?
so our right when we got done with our training and stuff, we had a 72-hour pass. And that first night we went out in El Paso, and our lieutenants bought us they were just buying beer for us. We were going overseas.
Yep.
So hey, this is our party, we're going to go party. And a bunch of Midwest boys, mostly from Wisconsin, we know how to drink fairly decent, and
okay.
we go down there and we just start drinking like we do. It's a normal whatever day with your buddies. And I remember this one Mexican guy. He comes up to me, and he was probably, I don't know, 40s, 50s maybe. And he comes up and he's like, "How many have you had?" I'm like, "I don't know, like 8." I wasn't counting. I'm just drinking.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wow, I've been here since like 1, and I've only had like 5." I'm like, "Why?"
You need to catch up.
This is at like 8 o'clock at night. We've only been there for an hour and a half maybe. It's just this is our one last chance to just get whatever.
Yep.
And so and it's free beer. So why wouldn't we? Especially being, what was I, 22 at the time?
Oh yeah, you're in
So
your peak.
yeah, I'm going all out. I plan on someone carrying me home by the end of the night.
Great.
The guy's like, he's like, "Well, where are you guys from?" And I said, "Wisconsin." And he just looks at us. He's like, "Oh, you guys are good. You'll be fine."
You'll be all right.
was
It
like,
depends
oh.
on the beer you're drinking, though. Like, if you're having 8% IPAs, which is sometimes what I enjoy, it's totally different than having 8 of these.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You'll be dead after 8 IPAs,
100%.
possibly. So,
100%.
so you're in El Paso having a good time, and you're like,
that
what the hell?
was fun. And then from there we ended up going. See, on the way over there we stopped at. We left from there. Then we had to go up to the cities for the international flight. And then from there we flew out. And then we landed in Amsterdam. They wouldn't let us get out of the airport there for some reason. We had a 4-hour layover, and they said we weren't allowed to leave. I'm like, come on.
I can probably guarantee you why you couldn't leave.
So that was my Amsterdam experience, was the airport.
Now, I got a question. When you're flying over it, you're probably in a military airplane, I assume?
It's a big commercial plane.
Oh, okay. So you weren't like...
Just a huge, I don't know what they are, just whatever the big, huge international commercial
So it is a
planes are.
commercial one.
It is, but it's only military on the plane.
Okay.
So that we're not mixed in with anybody else. I mean, because we already issued our weapons and all the stuff like that.
Okay.
So we're,
Is it different then when like you're flying a normal commercial then compared to with just everyone military going across seas? Is it a little different, or is it kind of all the same?
I don't know. It's the only time I've ever been overseas.
Well, have you been on a plane anywhere
I've been on
else?
planes before, and I mean, you're just intermixed with whoever. I mean, but for the most part, all your luggage, all our bags and stuff are in the belly of the plane.
Okay.
And then you have your weapons. You bring your weapons with you.
Yep.
Except for obviously some of the other squad weapons like your machine gun stuff like that. That stuff is all sent in connexes many months before, so they're on ships and they
Okay.
We're just talking about your personal weapons and stuff that you have with you.
So what I guess I assumed is that all the military went over all together.
No, that's a many month process ahead of time that things are going, and a lot of times, like at least in the National Guard, the weapons that we might have overseas, like our personal weapons are ours, but then some of the squad automatic weapons and your automatic weaponry may not be the exact ones that you have that stuff has been shipped over.
Sure, okay.
I mean, and obviously maybe they're in better shape. I don't know. I can only speak for the unit I was in. We kept our stuff pretty good, but I'm assuming maybe some other ones maybe aren't maybe as good.
Now, I want to go back to, you were talking about when you're over across seas. How do you know who is an ally and who isn't if you're just in the streets? Because I always feel like I would be on high alert.
Well,
and maybe you were, but how do you know if there's people there that that are not for you, they're against you? How do you know that?
Well, I can only speak from my experience, obviously.
And that's all we want is your experience.
Now, allies, I mean, obviously uniforms. If they're uniform, soldiers, like obviously we were working hand in hand with the Iraqi army, Iraqi police, stuff like that. Australian, they have armed forces there. Europeans, there's multiple. We ran into some of them, whatever. So obviously those ones.
Yep.
Now the bad guys, you don't know who the heck they are.
Okay.
They're intermixed with everybody else out there. And what makes it really hard to distinguish is you can't just be like, oh, there's a guy with a gun. Because every male in the household there, or in a household, is allowed one AK-47 per household. And they can walk down the street, open carry whatsoever. They fire like on weddings and certain celebrations and ceremonies. They'll just be shooting off into the air and stuff. So just because you see a guy with a gun doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad guy whatsoever. So yes, especially when you're driving through some of these cities and towns and stuff, you really have to keep your head on a swivel because you don't know exactly who's who. And what's messed up about, some of the stuff is you could be driving through a place and one day the average people, they could very well be just fine to you one day. And then you drive through there a week later and they can try and blow you up. Because Iraq as a country is wealthy. But the average person there is very poor.
Okay.
So these people are just trying to just get by and survive and provide for their families. And if a bad guy comes in that says, hey, I have this bomb, you need to put it here and I'll give you all this money, blah 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 blah, you just do this. Well, I get it. I get it to a certain extent, and that's why it's hard to trust anybody over there basically, because today they might be good and tomorrow it's not that they don't like you, it's just it's you or them, basically type of thing.
And they were offered money possibly.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of stuff. So exactly knowing who the bad guy is very hard to figure out sometimes.
So did you have any run-ins of any of those problems? Any injuries?
We had some close calls. I mean, there's, we've had, random bullets flying. You hear them going over your heads. You have no idea where the heck it's from or nothing, and you can't just start shooting.
Right.
We never got directly hit, but there was a convoy that was right before us that ended up getting hit, and they didn't take any casualties, luckily, but they got a vehicle blown up and stuff, and then we came through about 40 minutes later, and there's half the road's gone. There's like a 6-8 foot hole in the road. And,
jeez.
Stuff like that, and you just never know. I mean, and, you take all the precautions you possibly can, but at the end of the day, we have to follow rules, but they don't follow any rules. So that's a very touchy thing sometimes where, not necessarily agree on it sometimes, but,
Did you have any injuries yourself?
Yes, I'm actually 100% disabled from my time in the military. Overseas, this would have been probably about September of 2009. Right after I got home from my leave, when I got back in the country from my leave, we were we were actually coming back from one of our missions, and we were going through the desert back to our fob. And I was the gunner up in the turret on an MRAP, which is a mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle.
Okay.
So this one was made by International. It's a great big, I mean, it's a huge vehicle. The doors are so heavy. There's hydraulic or rams that open and close the doors.
Oh, okay, really?
And then
Wow.
The windshields are, I mean, just my section of windshield in front of the driver's, section is like 80 pounds. It's like 3-4 inches thick of bulletproof glass. There's a big drop-down door on the back that has 2 huge hydraulic rams that lift up and, drop down. So this vehicle is designed to take a direct hit right underneath of it from a 500-pound bomb, buried in the ground or whatever. And the hull is supposed to stay in there. But the gunner, you are the most, you're the guy that is probably going to take the most injuries when you...
Most vulnerable?
Whenever there's an accident or something. So we end up hitting, I don't know, this big hole, a ditch, I'm not sure. I was, scanning, doing what I'm supposed to do, and all of a sudden we hit, and we hit so hard that, so I had a 50 cal machine gun on top on the turret, and on the mounting, the pintle, there's a 1/2-inch steel pin that locks your machine gun into the mounting bracket, let's say. And we hit so hard it sheared that off, and the gun went over the side. I just grabbed the ammo belt and pulled that back up, so the gun, kept the gun. And but obviously it sheared that, but it also I ended up breaking my back in 3 places at that point in time.
No kidding. Whoa.
Not knowing that I did, obviously just adrenaline. You just do your job,
Right.
And
Yep.
we get back, and obviously I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm like, well, it is what it is. I mean, I can still walk. Everything. It's
Sure.
obviously tweaked it or something, And the next day I end up going into the TMC, which is like their doctor's nurse aid station, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, I hurt my back yesterday. It hurts like crazy. They're like, well, can you continue your mission? Can you continue? I'm like, yeah, just give me something to cut the pain. Like I'm fine. I can walk. I can do everything.
Give me the ibuprofen.
So they gave me ibuprofen 800 and then some sort of muscle relaxer. I don't even know what it was. All I know is when I was off duty, I took that stuff. It was amazing. I didn't feel any pain. So no clue what it was, but it was absolutely amazing. And that was in September, and we didn't come home till February, and I never missed a day of work. I stayed out there. I did my job the whole entire time.
Okay.
Got back home and had my demo process, and it was documented in my records and stuff. And I'm not saying the VA is bad, but that sometimes they're very hard to work with you on certain things. And
Sure.
that got missed. And ended up that went on for. Well, I didn't actually get diagnosed for a broken back until like 2020. So it had already healed up on its own by that point in time. Not where it's supposed to be, but I mean, when I came back home first year or so afterwards, there was 2 or 3 times where I would twist or rotate or turn, and my legs would just go numb and I'd fall over. Oof. And I'm just like, oh, that's weird, whatever. And then walk with a cane for a few days, and all right, I'm good again. Now, good again, my level of good compared to somebody who's, I don't say I'm, whatever, but obviously I've built up a very, my pain tolerance is built up quite a bit.
Sure.
Because every day, I mean, I'm in pain. I, have to get, basically what they do is they go in there and they cauterize my nerve endings on those 3 vertebrae. Every year I get that done just they can't fix it, so they can just take the pain away.
Sure.
But it is what it is. I end up messing my knees up, had knee surgeries on both my knees, along with some, psychological stuff that nobody likes to talk about, but at the end of the day, talking about it isn't necessarily mean you're weak or a bad thing, because that was a big thing when I was in the military. Don't talk about it. Don't be a pussy. Just deal with it.
Yeah, I hear
now they're kind of, working with people and trying to get you to talk about it, because everybody, regardless of what you did overseas, you probably seen something that probably changed you.
That probably the average person probably has never seen.
And it doesn't mean, and like, guys that I was in the military with or know, and they were never deployed, they feel like their time was wasted. I'm like, no, honestly, like, don't think that whatsoever, because you still did more than 98% of the country. You volunteered. You signed up to do something. Be happy that you didn't have to go over there and see some of that crap and go through that stuff, because, your body will thank you later. And, but some people think that, and it took me a long time to get there too. I thought that for a while. Like, it took me, one of the reasons it took me so long to get to 100%, because I got out of the military in 2015. And I didn't get, 2021 is when I got full VA benefits, 100%. And a lot of time it was me, because I'm like, I don't want a handout. I'm fine. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. It is what it is. It was just a job. I was just doing my job.
Yep.
And then joining the VFW, talking with my CVSO, my County Veteran Service Officer, who Felicia was absolutely amazing. She helped me out tremendously. And, learning and talking to the guys at the VFW and seeing that, hey, this is something that you've earned, not, it's not just given to you. And then that helped a lot. And then, but at the end of the day, I don't regret anything. I don't wish that, the things didn't happen necessarily. I mean, it'd be nice, but at the end of the day, like, I can still do stuff. I'm still going to move on and live my life. I'm not just going to sit around and do nothing.
Sure.
So.
Well, and then you just talked about you're also a father as well. You said you have a 12-year-old son?
Correct.
Well, what's he up to? Like, obviously being a father of a son, it's got to change your perspective a little bit then, maybe from getting out of the military.
So, yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons I got out. He was born, and I was with my ex-wife at the time, and we were living together and, working, doing all that. But, as I got older and, started to have a family, it was like, things would happen and this and that, family stuff. Well, then, I was off at training, or I had to go to training, and it was like, I'm not going to, so I was kind of in this, like, plus obviously my injuries and stuff that I had, it was getting hard for me to do my job. I'm like, well, if I can't do my job, I either need to reclass into a different job, or it's just time for me to, hang it up and live, live the family life, the dad life. And that was the route that I chose to do, because, I want, not saying that I had a bad childhood growing up, but just I wanted to give my kid every possibility and opportunity that maybe I didn't have. My parents tried the best that they could, but it was the best they could. So I felt I could give my kid maybe a little bit more opportunity. So I wanted to make sure that I was around. I love the heck out of my dad, don't get me wrong, but he even admits, there was times where he just wasn't around because he was working so much just to pay the bills and keep food on the table. So, as a kid, I didn't understand that. Now, as an adult, I completely understand that. I respect the hell out of him. But as a kid, you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. After school, you get home, you want to play catch or something with your dad, and then, dad's too tired to play catch. Well, you just look at it as, dad doesn't want to play catch with me.
Sure.
You don't look at the reasons why, and even if you tried to, you wouldn't understand anyways. It just was, well, dad doesn't go to my games, dad, this. And, as I got older, I'm like, okay, I want to try everything I can so my kid doesn't think that.
Yeah.
So it just got to the point where it was just time to just change the route.
How old was he then when you got out of the military? You say he's 12.
He was 3.
Oh, 3, okay. So then did you find it a good reason then, since you were getting out, this was the right call so I could be more in my son's life?
Yes.
Yep.
I do, but it was also very hard to adjust, because since I was 17 years old, I was in the military. Now, yes, I was in the National Guard, so I wasn't full-time military. So I was, some people say, oh, well, you're just a weekend soldier, this, that, whatever. But all my friends, the guys that I hung out with, they were all, once I got out, I was lost, completely lost. Like, I didn't have friends. I didn't know what the heck. And it was a very tough transition for me for a bit. And then I got into motorcycles. I started riding Harleys, and I got in with a veterans motorcycle club.
Which one's that one?
This was a veterans club out of Wisconsin called Brothers by Choice.
Okay.
And then from there, I was with them for quite some time. But they were located in the center of the state of Wisconsin, which was a 2+ hour drive.
Sure.
And I got to know some guys around the area here that obviously share the same interests and stuff. And the club that I belong to now is literally right in the backyard here. And I went to school with a lot of the guys. I've known them. I rode with them, once and so it just was an easy transition. It made sense, because now, this is just, it's home. It's, so.
Sure. Yeah, well, like you said, sometimes if this is all you knew for half of your life roughly has been military. You said 17. Now, I think you said you told me you're 38. I'm 37. I mean, you were just out 10 years ago. That was about half your life at that point. So it might be hard to adjust. Like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Well, having a kid and then you found motorcycles. I mean, is wind therapy really a thing?
Yes, 100%.
All right,
100%.
good.
There's a lot of veterans. Actually, I got a buddy that lives down. He's actually the mayor of Sussex right now, down by Milwaukee.
Okay.
But he does some stuff with veterans. He retired out of the military, and he does some stuff with some different organizations to help veterans and stuff, and
Sure.
with motorcycles and stuff like that. So awesome, amazing dude. I met him through the club life, and then obviously we shared military past and stuff. I went to some Badgers games with him, and
Cool.
some Brewers games and stuff. So that dude's awesome. His name's Ben Jarvis. Amazing guy.
That sounds so familiar. I mean, he's obviously from the Milwaukee area, so I don't know that name. But
he went through a very tough time after he got out of the military. Same thing. He went into a deep, dark depression, lots of alcohol, just could not figure out his life.
sure.
And then through this organization, some other people, and he completely changed everything about him. And now he does some very, very good stuff, and he's been doing awesome. And I've seen that with a lot of some of my buddies and stuff that I served with, and the transition into civilian life, as we call it, is not easy. And yeah, we were National Guard, but you still see it. So
Right, yeah. Well, I think the one thing people need to realize, just from even you telling us, there is life outside of this, and you did find another quote-unquote brotherhood within a motorcycle riding club, which can be so simple as just literally riding a motorcycle, and not only having maybe a brotherhood, but also with other people that have similar stories like you have of
Correct.
going across seas.
And as a veteran, I feel like it's easier to talk to your brothers in arms as it is than to go out and, let's say, talk to a therapist or somebody like that.
Sure.
Because no offense to them, I know they got a degree and they're probably absolutely amazing, but if you haven't gone through it, it's hard to understand.
Sure.
And it's hard for a lot of veterans to talk to other people that weren't there, that don't know. And a lot of us don't. We don't. And it's nothing personal. It's just probably not going to share a lot of that stuff that really bothers us. We talk about the good things, this, that, whatever, but the stuff that actually bothers us, we don't talk about that.
Sure.
Especially to family members. It's nothing personal. It's just, especially to some people you care, it's like, I don't want to burden you with this kind of stuff. But now my brothers and stuff, the people that have been over there, yes, we can talk about things. And I know that you'll get where I'm coming from. So
Totally understand. What's the motorcycle club that you're part of now?
the Road Dogs.
Road Dogs. Okay.
Correct.
And, I've seen them riding around. I mean, pretty sure I've seen them on the flood run and stuff of that nature.
Yep. So we're in Wisconsin, so we stay in Wisconsin.
Cool.
If you know anything about motorcycle clubs, obviously there's multiple different 1% clubs, and there's a whole nother world to that. So
Oh, gosh.
we stay in Wisconsin. That's where we are.
Okay. Well, I have a motorcycle club. It's very basic. We drink beer, and we like to ride around sometimes. It's called the Speakeasies. It's a 4-man club.
Okay, when I say a club, I'm talking about an actual MC with a MC cube on their vest.
So that's
totally
not us.
different world. Totally
That's
different
not
world.
us. We're just a group.
Yeah.
We're just a couple buddies riding around. We like to get patches from different breweries or places and we'll put a patch on. So if I showed you my vest, it just shows you where all of the breweries I've been to in my life. And some not even by motorcycle.
Still sounds fun.
It is. It's
Anytime
a great
you're out
time.
on a motorcycle, in my opinion, it's fun. I don't care if you're riding
No
with a club,
kidding.
you're riding with yourself, just a couple buddies.
See, not everyone
Whether you
understands
got
that.
crotch rockets, whether you got road bikes, Harleys, this, that, whatever. As long as you ride responsible and safe,
Yep.
just get out there and have fun.
Cheers to that, man.
Absolutely.
Cheers to that. So then you also have a daughter on the way,
Correct.
as do I.
Heck yeah.
And this is going to be my first child. So I don't know what to expect other than to just leave it all open, I guess. And she's going to be a little girl, too. So you and me are right on the same path. When's your girl due?
April 29th.
And mine's May 26th. So coming
Heck yeah.
right up here. Okay, so you have a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what to prepare for when you had a boy? Or just like, I have no idea.
Not really.
Let's
So
just-
when I was with my ex-wife, we were just young, living life.
Sure.
And No, not planned whatsoever. It just happened, but it was one of the best mistakes, I guess, ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had absolutely no idea what to expect. But it was good. It was good.
Okay, so now I want to go from you have a boy, you've had him for 12 years. What do you think is going to be different about having a girl? Because, see, to me, I have no idea. It's just, I'm having a girl. I don't know. But now you have a boy. What do you think is going to be different?
Well, having a boy, obviously, being I was in sports, a lot of stuff like that. So, obviously, he plays baseball, he plays football, he's in wrestling. He loves hunting. A lot of the same things that I love. So, that's awesome. As for me as a dad, being able to teach my kid, stuff like that is great. Now having a little girl, like my sister has 2 girls, so I have a couple nieces. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, but we'll talk about my sister in particular because they're the closest ones around here right now. I don't know, I just got a thing for little girl. Like the girls, like they gotta. I can be, maybe a little harder on my son because I don't know. I just feel like, having when I was a kid too, my dad was hard on me. My sister she's the little girl, and I'll tell you right now, she's gonna be a daddy's girl, like, yeah.
Okay,
100%.
that's what my wife said. She's gonna have you wrapped around her
100%.
finger, and she's gonna be daddy's girl.
Yep.
She goes, I'm gonna do all this work, and she's just gonna love you more. I'm like, I don't know, but maybe
100%.
All right.
And that's usually how it goes. Usually the girls are, daddy's girls, this, that, whatever, and boys a lot of time. I was a mama's boy.
Yeah.
Me and my dad, we could get into just, big arguments, pissing matches and stuff.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna apologize. Like, no. But if my mom was mad at me at all, I would go back and I would not leave till I made sure that things were good. I don't care if my dad didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. That's fine. But my mom, I can't go a half hour without her talking to me. That just.
I think there's something between the two sexes. I think you just you don't want to disappoint a female being a male because you feel like I don't know, maybe you feel like you'd be a jerk. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm an only child, so
I guess in 6 months, a year, we'll have to do this again, and then we'll see how it is.
Well, here's the one thing people go, "Are you nervous?" I go, "No, I'm not nervous at all." Actually, here's what I'm looking forward to because my wife and I both. She was doing the old wives' tale. She's like, "I think we're having a boy," and I'm like, "Why?" And she'd tell me all these. Well, because I'm feeling this way, and so I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we expected a boy. All of a sudden, we got a girl when we did the little gender reveal party, and I'm like, this is going to be cool, actually, because granted, I love sports. I was into baseball. I was into basketball. I'm into golf, all those things. And I'm like, but she might take me down a different path of maybe she wants to be a singer. Maybe she wants to be an actress. I'm like, I would love that because before you and me got on the podcast here, you were asking me, like, how'd you come up with just doing this? And I'm like, well, I just love talking to people for one, but I also love entertaining people as another thing. And I'm like, maybe she'll get into something like that, and that'll turn my whole world different. And if she wants to be into sports, I don't have a problem with that either. So I look forward to that part.
Well, same for me. Obviously, all the sports that I did, that's what my kid's doing. Well, now I got a girl in the way. I don't know much about volleyball. I don't know. Hey, I'm going to support however I can, but, good thing my girlfriend and stuff, she did, all the girl sports and this and that, whatever. So, it'll be fun. It'll be a good thing.
It's going to be something else. Now, I want to transition into the thing we first talked about, which is axe throwing. Does your son do this?
Yes.
Do you think your daughter will do it?
Probably.
Okay.
My girlfriend does. My kid does. So there's 4 seasons in a fiscal year. He doesn't do the season 1 because that's when wrestling is. So it interferes, whatever. So
okay.
He doesn't. But he usually does season 2, 3, and 4.
Are you talking about axe throwing has seasons?
Yes.
No shit.
So there's 4 seasons. You have a spring, summer, fall, and winter league. Okay. So we just got done with the winter league. So it actually starts with winter.
Okay.
All right. So we just started. So it's a 7-week league, and then the 8th week is your local venue. That'll be your tournament for that area. So like for us at Winona Axe Arcade here, I'm the manager of that place. So
I noticed you got the shirt on. You're representing. Yeah.
We just opened up recently. We were located at a different place in town. But
you were at the mall before.
Yep. For all the local people around here, Winona Axe Arcade is open and running, and we're kicking butt over there. Located downtown by the downtown meat market, the former home of the Rochester Wholesale Fruit Building. So we have that now. We got a huge venue there. We got, I would say, $500,000 worth of arcade machines and equipment in there.
Dang.
Plus, we got 3 pool tables and a couple dart boards, and then we have 9 axe throwing lanes also. So
9 axe throwing lanes. And actually, I purchased a pinball machine from the owner, Tim. We have the Space Jam one that we purchased from him as well.
Yeah, so one of the cool things with all of our machines at Winona Axe and Arcade is they're all for sale.
I love that.
So you can come in there and you can play any game you want and be like, I love this game. I want to buy it. I can get you Tim's number, or you can work through me personally, and then we can set it up, and you can take it home that day even.
Actually, that was funny. I talked to Tim, and he's like, yeah, I can deliver right now if you want. I'm like, oh, sounds good. And then he loaded up in his van and came on over, and I'm like, sounds great. So you're the manager of the Winona Axe. How'd you come up to doing that? Is it because of your axe throwing, or you just fall into it?
Backstory here. Okay, we'll jump back a couple years ago approximately.
Okay.
So I had my kid that weekend. So I was going through a divorce, whatever. Wasn't living with my ex-wife. I had my kid that weekend. So we were kind of doing a guys' night, whatever. So he wanted sushi. Well, I didn't know if I was a sushi fan or not. So
Your son wanted sushi?
Yeah, he loves it.
Oh shit.
So I was like, all right, let's go to this Ocean Sushi place. Whatever, let's give it a try.
Good. So good.
Well, Ocean Sushi, if anybody lives around the area here, that was right next door to where we were located in the Winona Mall there.
Now I'm hungry.
So, yeah, no, that sounds good. I love it now, but at that point in time, I was kind of worried. So I go in there, we get our food, we eat, we get out, and my kid's like, hey, Dad, can we go axe throw? I'm like, I have no idea and don't know anything about it. Well, let's go over and look. He was 10 at the time, I believe. So we go in there, and Tim, the owner, who was also a disabled vet for the military,
Okay.
he was in there, and then the former manager was in there. And so me and my kid, we pay for an hour of axe throwing, and we start throwing and whatever. And, well, 1 hour turned into 4 hours, and started talking with Tim, this, that, whatever. I threw axes. I was throwing knives, and they're like, no, you're really good at this. You should be in one of our leagues, this, that. And I'm like, yeah, you probably just tell that to everybody just so they come in here,
Right.
So started, talking to Tim, and they were looking for some new employees because they had just opened up, recently, right before that.
Yeah.
And so about a week and a half later, I started working there. Before that, I was doing construction. I had a construction company, but then my business partner passed away in a motorcycle accident, so kind of was transitioning out of that because just with the workforce out there and trying to get reliable people and stuff like that was hard to do, and taking the whole thing on myself was going to be tricky. And then obviously with my medical, my back and my knees and stuff were just not holding up the best, so got out of that, and I wasn't really doing anything at that point in time. So I'm like, hey, what the heck? This looks like a good, fun job,
Sure.
Started working there, started throwing axes, and I started throwing axes about 1.5 years ago then. And just through that time, the former manager no longer with the company, so I just kind of progressed up through, and then we moved from that location down to here, and obviously having that construction company background helped me a lot because I built everything over here then.
Oh, gotcha.
So I got to work the whole time we were closed because me and then 2 of my employees then, we built the whole thing. So Tim and me, we came up, mostly Tim. He's a visionary. When he can see an empty building and put all this stuff together.
Yeah.
So me and him kind of got the plan together, and then it changed 20 different times before we finally got to what it is now.
So you built everything in there?
Yeah, we took out,
cool.
It used to be a grocery store. So we
I know that.
got that all
place.
gutted. And then, we used what we could, and then we built everything else, and
cool.
It turned out really, really nice. And then from there, opened back up and continued throwing while we could. Obviously, there was a couple seasons in there where we couldn't throw because we didn't, the venue was down. We couldn't do anything.
Yep.
We got back going again, and so for Worlds this year, I got an email, and said I had a bid to go to the World Championship. So I'm like, what? I didn't feel like I threw that good. I missed a couple seasons last year, so I missed one season. So I was like, I did okay, but I didn't feel like it did that great on my standards,
Yeah.
And this year in 2025, throwing a lot better than I was in 2024 rankings wise, and so I was really pushing for this year. And then it was really nice that I got that bid because this year the World Championships is actually in Appleton, Wisconsin. So
No, so okay, so they do it all over the place every
so
year?
last year was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, so they really do.
So this year is in Appleton, Wisconsin. They signed a World Axe Throwing League signed a contract with that convention center in Appleton for 2025, 2027, and 2029. So those 3 years will be in Appleton, and then the other years, I'm sure there's places that bid on it or something. I'm not sure how it works, but
So you've been doing this for less than 2 years,
Correct.
and you're already ranked within the world to go compete.
I'm
You really fell into your lap that day at Ocean Sushi.
Yeah, it was honestly, my kid's like, Dad, you can thank me for that. And honestly, yeah, I mean, kind of I can because if we went to Ocean Sushi, then we went to the axe throwing place, I wouldn't be working there. I wouldn't be in this situation now. So yeah, I'll give some credit to my kid. Not 100% I will.
So the guys weren't just feeding you crap there. You were actually good. They didn't just want you to come back. So then what did you do after that? So they said, hey, you're pretty good. You should get into a league. And you did?
Well, so I started working there.
Yeah.
I was looking for a job that was fun. At that point in time, obviously I get my disability through the VA, but I still wanted to work. I don't have to work. I'm 100% permanent and total disabled, so I can work if I want to. There's no stipulations that I can't work.
Okay.
But I wanted to work. Don't get me wrong, I love fishing and stuff like that, but doing it by yourself all the time got really boring.
I bet.
It's like I need to go do something. I need to do something, and I want it to be fun. I don't want to have to go to a job because I just need the paycheck. I want to go to a job and have fun, and if I make some money at it, that's great too.
Yeah.
And so this job just kind of, I guess I accidentally fell into it with the help of my son. So thanks, Ryland. But yeah, I just started working there and then got in the leagues, obviously, because one of the benefits that we have, if you work for the place, we pay for your league entry fees.
Okay.
So if you work there, you might as well throw. Plus, the more you throw, the better axe teacher you can be for everybody else that comes in there.
Sure.
Because if I'm the person teaching you how to throw an axe and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, how can I teach you?
Right.
So then some of the fun things that we do is, I'll teach you whatever. Say you come in and want to throw for an hour of axe throwing. I'll teach you how to throw the axe. Then I'll let you throw for an hour so you get all the practice you want. Then I offer everybody, most everybody, it depends on how busy I am, but if I have the time, I'll offer you, hey, if you want to, throw against me one match, 10 throws, high score wins. If you beat me, I'll pay for your hour.
Oh, okay.
So I have been beat before where, you get a little cocky, kind of mess around.
Sure.
But I don't want to, at the same time, it's not like, sometimes I try harder than others. I keep it close because it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun for the employees and stuff too.
Right.
If I were to go out there and just throw how I want to throw, like how I could throw, most people wouldn't have a chance. But I want it to be fun. I like the competitiveness. If I lose once or twice, hey,
Guarantee those people come back.
Yeah.
Guarantee that they go, I beat the guy. We got to go back and try again.
Or I've had multiple people that, I get really close. They get really close, and they're like, oh, I'm so close. And I tell them where I rank in the world. And they're like, oh, well, I lost by 4 points to you and you rank that. So they're like, next time. So they come back in and then they'll challenge me the next time.
Oh,
they'll challenge me the next time.
It is a selling scheme for other people. You got them hooked, man.
So
you got them hooked.
it's fun. I like the place a lot.
I bet.
Looking at
it.
trying to do some more stuff with the community, try to get more people in there, especially on Wednesday and Thursday nights.
Is that when the league is on Wednesday?
Our leagues are on Sundays. We do our leagues, so
okay.
we start our practice at 3:00 in the afternoon, and then we start throwing at 4:00.
Okay, so I get so many questions from here. So when you go to teach someone, I'm going to go back to the basics now. When you teach someone how to throw the axe, what is the basics that you say to them?
I can give you the whole spiel if you want me to.
Please. Well, yeah, please. I think.
Well, I mean, basically, so we get in there, first off, everybody has to sign a waiver. Obviously,
Yep.
You're responsible for yourself. We do serve alcohol, so obviously we don't want people being, absolutely. If they know that they're responsible for themselves, they think a little bit more too. So we come back there, we get everything set up, spray the boards down, get back there. Then I'll have the people in the back by the tables of the lanes. Then I introduce myself. Hello, my name is Shawn. I'll be your axe coach tonight. And then from there, I grab an axe. I'll show them. Basically you take the axe, you hold the axe at the bottom of the handle with a medium to light grip. At this point in time, extend your arm straight out in front of you with a, like I said, with a medium light grip. Hand at eye level. From here, I want you to tip the axe back to a 45-degree angle. At this point in time, keep the upper portion of your arm stationary and hinge at your elbow and bring the axe head back till it touches the top of your shoulder here. The axe will stay on your shoulder at that point in time. From here, make sure you keep your elbow in. We don't want your elbow out. You're not throwing a baseball. We're throwing an axe. So at this point in time, all you do is just bring your elbow straight up to the ceiling, and you're going to chop through in a circular motion, releasing at the 4 and 5, which is the numbers right above the bullseye, but continue to follow through with your hand, which will then, if you do it all right, as you follow through, you'll get it in that bullseye area.
Perfect.
It sounds easy, and then I make it look easy, and then I come up there, and then sometimes some people get it right away, and some people don't, but the difference between just your general axe coach, the person that can just do that right there, a lot of people can do that. But it's being able to watch, like I could watch you throw and then be able to decipher what I need to have you do differently to make it so it sticks.
Gotcha.
And then from there, obviously people that are interested in league, we'll take more time with them, maybe modify their axes, get them a custom axe, modify it for them, and then teach them. That's the basic throwing. That's not how I throw whatsoever. I throw completely, totally different. But it's just like, a baseball swing, a golf swing. You take more motion out of it, it's a lot easier to repeat and more repeatable, the better you're going to be. So it's the same kind of concept, you're just changing it a little bit for this purpose.
So I've done axe throwing about one time in my life, and it was in the Dells for a bachelor party. Mm-hmm. And I remember everyone was trying to throw as hard as they possibly could. And I started just throwing with some finesse, and I was hitting the 4s and the 5s. And I'm like, you guys are like throwing it too hard, I feel, because the harder you throw it, I feel like probably an extra rotation, but they weren't even, axe wasn't even sticking.
What happens is, you throw from the 12-foot line, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's physics, okay? So the axe is going to rotate the same amount. The head weighs more than the handle, correct?
Yep.
So when you throw it, centrifugal force is going to make the axe spin, okay? Now, if you throw it faster, the axe will have less time to spin in the air because it has less time in the air traveling.
Yep.
Okay, now on the reverse side of that, if you throw it like a rainbow and you throw it nice and slow and lob it, it's going to keep rotating. So just a nice, easy throw and follow through, and it will be fine. It's the people that go out there and try and chuck it, probably most of the time, they're hitting the handle first because they throw it so hard, it doesn't have time to rotate, and the handle hits the target.
Sure.
And it's so much harder to be accurate, too.
I can imagine, because I saw people, I'm like, guys, I feel like you're throwing it way too hard at this. Mm-hmm. But then you also just said there's different axes. Is that correct?
So there are different axes. So obviously we're affiliated with the World Axe Throwing League. The World Axe Throwing League has multiple different axes. Now they all weigh about the same.
Okay.
But the weight is distributed differently amongst the head of the axe, so it changes the rotation. Mm-hmm. Also, the length of your handle will also change the rotation too. So obviously learning and throwing, whatever. And the former manager there, Tyler taught me a lot of stuff. He's very, very good at the axe throwing portion of it. He taught me a lot, and, how to modify and change axes and stuff like that. So, just grabbing a different axe might be all you need to do.
Sure.
So
how many hours a week do you usually spend practicing?
Not as much as I should.
Not as much as you should. Perfect.
It all depends on work. It all depends on work. If I'm busy and I have things to do at work, obviously work is the number one.
Correct.
I manage the place. I have to make sure that place is doing what it needs to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously I should probably practice more than I do.
Oh.
But I don't know. It's hit or miss. It could be. It could be multiple hours. It might only be a little bit. It all. I need to get in there more now because. Let's see. World Championships is the first weekend in April, so only a couple weeks away.
April 3rd through the 6th.
Correct.
Okay, so that's coming up in about 2 weeks
Yes.
for you. When this comes out, it'll be next Monday. So you're in about 2 weeks away. So now I have a few more questions then because of that. So with that coming up, how do you prepare? Do you just do what you've been doing and...
So,
any strategies?
The rules for 2024 were a little bit different. At the professional ranks, we had to throw our first 5 from 12 feet and our second 5 from 15 feet.
Oh, that'll change up things.
And the target design's a little bit different. So I have 2 different axes. So I got to go back into throwing how I threw in 2024.
Okay.
The 2025 rules, they've changed some stuff. So how I'm throwing this year is not exactly how I'm throwing at the World Championships, because just like the Super Bowl or whatever, it's always played. The World Championships coming up in a couple weeks is for the 2024 season, so we're based off the 2024 World Axe Throwing League rules.
Gotcha.
So right now, like in league, I don't throw my other axe because I don't have to throw it from 15 anymore.
Okay.
But I practice with that, and I practice with both of them, and it's trying to get our assistant manager Ethan a little closer to my level, so I have someone to push me a little bit more. And he's got the talent. He does. He just needs to work on it. He had some, he's still in college, finishing up his degree. So just stuff with it just doesn't have the time right now. But
sure,
he's got the talent if he can do it, and I know he can. It's just we'll get there.
Shout out to Ethan. He's the one that got you here.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
So now you're gonna travel to Appleton. Is it a few day thing? And how many people will be there?
So there's approximately, from what I read, 500 to 600 throwers. Now, that's in multiple different disciplines.
Okay.
So there's axe throwing, the hatchets.
Yep.
And then there's also knife throwing.
Oh,
so we
okay.
also do knives too. And then there's a thing they call duels. So it's with the hatchets, and two people are on the same team. They throw at the same time at the same target.
Oh, jeez.
So you got to be in sync with the person you're
Sure.
throwing. So basically, like if you're both throwing at the bullseye, you take that bullseye and split it in half. I get the right hand side of that,
Yeah.
and you get the left hand side of that.
And I imagine a lot of axes get hit
sometimes
together.
you hit
and
axes. Sometimes
they don't
you'll
even
stick
hit
one
at
right
all.
in the back of a handle of another one. Or that's why you have to find a person that throws at the same speed, same pace that you do.
Sure.
You have one person that leads. So if you and me are throwing, I'll watch you out of the corner of my eye. You can be the lead, and then I'll just match your throw.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Gotcha. So I imagine you have maybe some more free reign at the Axon Arcade to practice.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
They give you a little bit of like, hey, are you representing them at all, or
Yeah, so usually when you go there, obviously you get a custom-made jersey. Well, you can have a custom-made jersey. Obviously, you have a jersey getting made through them, through the World Axe Throwing League. We'll get that when we get there. So I have Winona Axe and Arcade as my primary sponsor on the back, and also as my throwing venue. Also got a couple other sponsors around the area here. In Wabasha, I got Riverboat Lanes.
okay?
And Jim O'Reilly up there. In town here, I got the downtown meat market.
Sure, right next door.
Yep. And then, like I said, obviously Tim Sexton and Winona Axe and Arcade. And then I got Busted Knuckles Garage up in Frontenac, Minnesota.
Yeah,
And Road Dogs MC out of Bluff Siding.
that's cool.
They sponsored me. And I got another one coming up here. Let me look here.
You have another competition?
No, I got another sponsor here.
Oh, another sponsor. Dang, they must believe in you then.
I just got to think here.
So do you ask them, or have they come up to you and be
So
like,
I've asked
hey,
a
this is
couple
pretty
people.
cool.
Other one is Surviving Valor. It's a veteran organization out of La Crescent, Minnesota, actually.
Perfect.
Guy in my VFW, Lance Overbeck. He talked to originally I talked to a guy I was overseas with. Actually, he reached out to me and said that he knew this guy with the Surviving Valor. It's a new nonprofit organization out of La Crescent, and they're going to be sponsoring me some for over there too.
That's
so
cool.
Most of them, I mean, I put a thing out on social media, saying that I got a bid to go to Worlds, and obviously, Winona Axe and Arcade, they're like, yes, we're sponsoring you right away, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
And then just downtown meat market, they kind of right away they were down for it because actually the owner of downtown meat market actually owns the building and is involved with Winona Axe and Arcade also.
Okay. Yep.
Otherwise, just buddies that have businesses, stuff like that.
Yep.
And then obviously through the VFW, with Lance and that Surviving Valor. Obviously a veteran. I'm a veteran. It's a veteran organization. Just kind of worked out. And then obviously in the future, Winona Axe and Arcade and them, hopefully we can work some stuff together to get, some stuff going for, local veterans. So maybe we can do some axe throwing or something like that.
Sure. So when you're talking about Worlds, this is people coming from all over the world?
Yes.
Holy cow.
So the World Axe Throwing League has people in, literally all over the world. I don't even know where.
kidding.
And
And it's going to be right in Appleton, Wisconsin.
yep.
That's
So
so
it started.
cool.
The World Axe Throwing League started out in Canada. But most of the venues are in the United States, but they are all over the world.
Yeah. Do you have people that are going to come cheer you on?
I have some people that are. So ESPN used to actually have it on TV, but there was some contract some contract stuff. So it's not going to be televised on ESPN, but I think there's still some streaming services and stuff. I do have some people that are going to come out there and watch and whatever and cheer me on. I don't know what to expect because it's my first time ever at a big tournament like that. But I'm going to go out there and do my best, obviously.
So if this is your first big event, are you got any nerves? Or is this just like what I do at work?
I mean, it's going to be nervous. I'm going to be nervous, obviously, because I'll be throwing against the guys that are the top 10 that I've seen ever since I started axe throwing. They're the top. They've always been the top.
Yep.
Now to actually get to meet them. So I'm looking at it as more of a tool to advance not just me as an axe thrower, but also advance me and the business at Winona Axe and Arcade.
Sure.
Get some other pointers, because a lot of these people also own axe throwing venues, or they've been in this stuff for a long time. So use it as a tool to not only, like I said, advance myself, but maybe learn how to run better tournaments here. Some better marathons. Get more people interested in the axe throwing, portion of this. Because, I mean, honestly, I'm fairly new to it all.
You are fairly new after sushi. Absolutely. You're new after sushi. So you've been doing this for what, like about a year and a half?
Correct.
Wow. And it's so crazy how someone, I hear this all the time. You hear someone, they just got into football when they were in 10th grade and they're in the NFL. It's like, if you think about that, you're talking like 6 years max. Like that's all it was. And that's a huge step. So you're only doing this from a year and a half ago by accident with your son, and now all of a sudden you're competing against the best in the world. That's kind of mind-blowing. Is it mind-blowing for you? It's got to be.
I guess I haven't really thought about it. Ethan tells me it all the time. He's like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, Tim's like, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, I don't know.
You're a military guy. I'm just doing my job.
I don't feel like I'm as good as, I know I can get better. So therefore I'm not happy with how I'm throwing. Therefore I'm not, I'm just.
So I guess what you could take from when you compete, wherever you rank, that's going to be your standard then to move up from there, I guess.
Correct. That's what I do every year.
Yeah.
So where I was last year, my goal is to be better than that.
And you clearly did that.
I want to be in the top 50.
Okay, and you clearly did that, because now you're going here. And what do you rank? I think we just looked at like 104.
Right now, yeah, like I said. So I want to, that. Right now, that's what I'm going for. I just want to keep improving. And what do I need to do to get better?
So 104 in the world.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool. That's awesome.
For a while there, I was, on the standings there, I broke the top 40. I was like 32 for a while. But then at the end of every league season, there's a bunch of marathons that go on, so people can go and throw another season basically all in one day.
Sure. Oh, okay.
So they take the highest score that you have.
Yeah.
So if you're really on that day, you can, maybe.
Is there any handicaps when it comes to this, or when you're competing at this level now it's just 1 versus 1?
So at this level up there, no, it's all professional throwers. So we all have the same rules, this, that. Now when it comes to league, if anybody's interested in joining league, our next league starts April 13th down here at Winona Axe and Arcade. There are 3 different divisions. So there's like a beginner and intermediate, a beginner, advanced, and professional. So there's a built-in handicapping just on what targets close and this and that after you hit them. So it makes it more of a level playing field, so where, somebody that's not a professional thrower has a chance to beat me.
Sure.
But
one-on-one, they probably get their butt kicked, huh?
If it was both the same level, if we were both throwing the pro rules,
Yep.
Then things would, and I'm not saying, Ethan could. He's been right there, just inconsistent from not throwing, as much. And he can easily get there. I know he can.
Yeah. That's so cool. I look forward to seeing how you do, because I just think it's crazy that you're in roughly the top 100 people in the world of doing this. And then it's not only that, it's in your backyard at Appleton. Not that Appleton's in your backyard.
Compared to where it's been all the other times, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, so you're going to be competing this April. Is it a whole weekend thing, or how does it go?
So, okay, so I'm going to go there. Let me look at the calendar here quick.
Yeah, I got April 3rd through the 6th is what my notes show, but you probably have a different thing.
So I'll be heading out there on Wednesday, April 2nd.
Okay.
The 3rd is actually, that's when they're doing knives and duels.
Are you in that?
No.
Nope, okay.
So that's like the introduction. Everybody gets, whatever. You kind of walk around. They have vendors, this, that. So the 3rd is when they're doing knives and duels. And then Friday the 4th is when I'll be throwing.
Okay.
They have 2 different sessions, basically, for that. 2 different brackets. And then, depending on how I do on Friday, Saturday is big axe and some other stuff. And then Sunday would be the finals. Now that's only the top, 20 or whatever. So, I mean, just being realistic, my chances of actually making that are probably not the greatest, but I'm going to try my best, obviously.
Is your son coming to cheer you on?
He will not be.
Okay.
Just with school and this and that, he's still in school.
That's
so
what I was wondering.
If he wasn't in school, then, I mean, he asked about that, but it's getting to the end of the school year, and I'm like, can't really have you miss school, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, no, my girlfriend coming with. I got some friends that are going to head out that way, and then, yeah, it'll be a fun weekend.
Sounds like a fun
Actually,
time.
it's going to be a very interesting weekend because if I don't so right now my plan is to go there on the 2nd and stay there till Saturday. And then Saturday morning, if I don't make the finals, leave from Appleton Saturday morning, and then I got to drive up to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul up here, because I actually have Minnesota State bowling that weekend. So,
so you're a bowler too.
I'm
Oh,
a bowler too. I went to nationals before, so.
However, if you make it, you're skipping bowling?
Yes, I already told them. I said if I make the finals, I'm not making it. I'm not
Completely
going up there.
understandable.
They're like, nope, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, just like the chances of it, probably not, but
would you
I
have
could.
to make it to the last day? Where do you have to rank? Is it like the top? Is it like top 50, top 25, top 10?
Probably top, I don't know, probably top 20.
Okay.
I'm guessing. So I think they pay out top 10.
Okay.
I believe is what they pay out. Winner gets multiple thousands of dollars, so
Sure.
that'd be great. But
That
these
would be
guys,
nice.
But I mean, I'm being realistic. These guys are on I'm good. These guys are on a whole nother level than me.
Yeah.
Like it's
gonna be a learning
it's
experience,
ridiculous
though.
how
Yeah.
good they are, and they've done this before. They've been through this stuff before. These guys have won the world championships in past years. So
Yeah. This is going to be all learning for you.
it's going to be a heck
your
of a
first
learning.
time.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be
Yeah.
super fun. I'm going to learn a lot, and hopefully there's things I can learn that'll help me advance in my axe throwing career and also with the business here.
Okay. So as we're starting to wind down here, what 2 questions here before we end. What is one thing you think you still have to work at in your axe throwing? And then what is the one goal that you have for the Worlds? Are you wanting to place in a certain spot or something? And then the one thing that you still have to work on that you think is maybe your kryptonite or your one downfall?
The one thing that I need to work on, I think, is just being more consistent, going for kill shots more. Kill shots are the little itty bitty ones on top of the target. If you hit them, you get either 7 or 8 points, but if you miss, you get absolute 0 points.
Sure.
So being more confident in those, I'm good at them in practice, and when I throw at them in league situations, I hit them most. I think I missed 1 this season.
Okay.
But I just don't throw at them enough. Just being a little bit more consistent, I would say. And then also, I need to throw at other places besides here at the home venue because that changes everything. The atmosphere changes. Just like in baseball, you're used to playing at your home ballpark. You go to a different place, it just feels different, right?
Yeah, small differences.
So, doing some more, different marathons and throwing at different venues around the area. And then maybe hit some regional tournaments, some of the, maybe not the world tournaments,
Yep.
but your regional, your maybe smaller tier tournaments that you still have some of these big throwers at, and get more of that pressure, throwing in there.
Yeah,
Because, at the X venue here,
You're just playing with yourself, possibly.
there's not a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to win. Not I'm not being arrogant, but I'm just
Confident.
the other guys, and they're working. I'm working with them to get them better because it's fun when I have those matches where it could go either way.
Yeah.
It when you don't have somebody pushing you, it's hard to really concentrate and zone in and really do your best.
Yeah.
I guess if that's
I totally get it because someone's coming into Action Arcade and you might just be coming there for recreational fun with some friends, or you might be coming in there to practice for league. So you don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
I totally get that. What's your big goal then for when you go to Worlds? What's the goal?
I guess my biggest goal when I go to Worlds is
I mean, if you could win, obviously that's amazing.
I mean, obviously that'd be amazing, but realistically, I'm setting my goals, at a realistic level. first off, have fun, enjoy the moment, enjoy it, because
Absolutely.
I didn't think that I was gonna have a bid. So actually, when I got the email, I actually sent them one back. Is this for real? Is this a scam or something? I really didn't think it was, because I didn't feel like I threw that good last year.
Sure.
So, have fun, enjoy the moment, embrace the moment, and hopefully meet some people in the axe throwing world that can help me out. Maybe take me to that next level.
That'd be cool.
But then see what I can do for the business, help the business out, because that's where I work. That's what I do. I mean,
that's awesome.
So obviously use both of those. If I can use one to help the other, vice versa, either way.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and you're only going to make the Axe League in our town bigger, if anything. So, well, Shawn, I want to thank you for coming in. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to that we missed maybe at all? No?
Maybe another time.
Just another time. Well, I would like to hear how you did after you come back. I think that'd be really cool. But do you have any social media that people could follow you on, or is there a place that people could see how you're doing?
What I would say is follow Winona Axe and Arcade. All my stuff will be posted on Winona Axe and Arcade. We got a website, axeandarcade.com. Otherwise, social medias, we got a Facebook. Just search Winona Axe and Arcade. Otherwise, Instagram, TikTok, we got all that stuff. So I post all my stuff on there. I personally don't have anything. Like I said, I'm not. If it wasn't for Ethan, I wouldn't have any of that stuff posted anywhere. Like I got a thrower player card out there. So we got all that stuff, and Ethan is the one that's doing all that stuff, because that's not me.
Well, for those who are listening, look down the show notes. I'll post some links down there so you can look at that, follow Shawn on maybe how he's doing, seeing the results as to where he is in the world. But again, I want to thank you one more time for coming on in. And for those who are listening, if you look at the chef, subscribe, like, share, and 5-star this podcast, as it does help out people to find this. And we are always having brand new guests in here talking about their life stories, accomplishments, and something you may not have even thought of listening to. But one more time, Shawn, I want to thank you for coming on in. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you guys next week.